video and such. Yeah, pretty much. Probably just a follow-up to the Stefan Molyneux inheritance subject video. And I'll just respond to some of the more idiotic comments, I suppose. It's what you have to do. The idiots demand attention. Kind of how the systems work, which is unfortunate. Squeaky wheel grease. The news is dominated not by people who do something exceptional, but people who are exceptionally silly and stupid and corrupt and nasty. And so everything just gets distracted by bullshit. So it's just so difficult to deal with any kind of subject intelligently with people because they're just not intelligent. Some of these idiots are just insanely stupid. So anyway, Mr. Garfield, who I'm getting quite sick of, about ready to delete him on site. That's gonna be my new policy. I just delete. Fuck blocking. Just delete, delete, delete. Go ahead, waste your time. So where does the inheritance money go? Go then. This is a silly question. It goes back on the market. It's in lieu of people paying income taxes. You could greatly reduce the income taxes on everybody else if you collect the taxes in some other way, and this would be the way to do that. So it would pay taxes. Where do you think it would go? If there were assets, the government would take the assets and sell them. If it was stock, the government would take the stock and sell it. Not complicated. So let's understand. I've done plenty of videos on this subject, so if people don't want to know that context, they don't know that context. I'm not for a block against like inheriting your grandfather's watch or something, or even inheriting a home, even inheriting $1 million. The argument is about inheritance of preposterously huge fortunes, not giant head starts. See, I'm not against giant head starts, like $1 million head starts. I'm against billion-dollar head starts, multi-million-dollar head starts. Just for the sake of clarity, in case somebody's thinking I'm against inheriting anything, any advantages. No, it's just the huge and gratuitous ones. The 1%, as I highlighted in the video, or the top 5% in terms of, but you don't even have to, top 3%. The income of the top 5% isn't really a threat. It's the 3% and higher that are the insane incomes. And the capital made on capital. The part that's capitalism. They're the only ones really doing capitalism. Everybody else is just doing survival. And that's the joke here. It's a tiny percentage of the people who'd be inconvenienced. Well, anyway. So I almost consider that it's just too stupid a remark. It wouldn't matter what you did with it, actually. Say if it was cash, you found a bunch of cash in a millionaire's safe deposit box. If you just burned it, that's right, burned it, you made everybody who holds cash richer. Fact. So that would be a simple thing to do. Just burn the cash and sell the assets. Worked just fine. If you knew anything about how the systems work, you'd understand, but you don't really want to do the research, so the hell with it. So anyway, this Billy guy can go to fuck himself. That's another guy that needs to be deleted on site. So yeah, somebody else already pointed out in the comments that Stefan Molyneux's numbers includes China and all the atrocities, and that means all the people who starved to death, all the people killed in conflicts, it's just silly numbers. So you people want to play these silly number games, and you want to do their own people game. I mean, their own people game is what got us into Iraq, right? Because we said the Kurds were Saddam Hussein's own people. Even though they're called Kurds, we said they were his own people. Even though they were called Kurds, we called them Kurds. They were his own people. They weren't citizens of. We didn't call them citizens of Iraq. We called them Kurds. I wonder what that is. So anyway, just such a pile of shit. So, you want to play the game? Play the game. I don't give a fuck, but fuck you. So, delete that useless little bit. Okay, they didn't hate them for silly reasons. They were scientific explanations behind almost all their positions. So he's saying that their propaganda about black people, drawn as gorillas, and the Jews with horns, that's scientific. Sorry, Bill. You're Billy. You're really dumb. Hating Jews and hating the rich are more or less the same thing, though. It's just such a stupid remark. Most Jews are not rich. Hating a race based on the performance of some segment of that race is idiotic. I don't hate white people because some of them are Republicans. I mean, it's just stupid. Insanely stupid. Alright, so anyway. Let's see. So we'll get to the cranks here. Let's see. How is monarchy not legitimate if people approve them? Well, that's the whole point of making the video and arguing with Stefan Molyneux. Is I'm arguing for what the majority should believe. I'm not arguing that democracy should be ignored, and if the people want to love the rich, then they can do it. They keep voting for the rich. They can elect fake billionaire presidents if they want. Preposterous liars and no accounts and no accomplishment. People who go bankrupt 6 times and call themselves huge successes. People don't pay federal taxes because they don't make enough money to pay back the losses they made 20 years ago. But claim how they're hugely successful. So yeah, if you want to keep voting for that and rubbing the hiney of that kind of nonsense, there's not how much I can do except protest, say you people make me want to puke. I can't stand this fucking planet of dumbasses. But where in my argument where did I say people don't have a legitimate right to be assholes? I mean, obviously they have. I'd like to go to war with you. I'd like to smite you on the battlefield. You're disgusting creatures, in my opinion. But the argument wasn't about whether or not people don't have a right to be idiots. So, fuck you. Stupid remark. Alright, so now we get to the more subtle, idiotic kind of remarks. Surprisingly, Gary is doing quite fair critique here. There are a few general issues, of course, which I'm not going to repeat here. But one thing strikes me as worth mentioning. Gary's critiques the capitalism and inheritance model as one that is destined to produce the unproductive elite power class who got the place not by merit but by accident. Yes, I made that argument of their ancestry. What Gary is not acknowledging is that the centrally planned model, well, again, that wasn't the argument, so I'm not a defender of the centrally planned model. I'm in favor of incentive economics built on the fact that we don't need owners. I'm for not-for-profit industry. Nobody should own it. Not government employees, not we the people, not anybody. If there's no owners, then there's no asshole looking for a gimmick. You go to work, you make a contract to perform a service, a job, and you do it for a salary. That's how I would design things. No benefits, no bullshit. You want to join a health club? Fine. You want to join a pension plan? Fine. Do it with your own salary. Do it with your own club. You don't need the business to establish that bullshit for you as tax evasions. And that's all this bullshit is. So I'm just saying so again, I'm not defending communism. I'm really not. I'm not a communist in the sense that if communism means we have to tell people how to, drink their soup, they have to do it with a proper spoon or something. Fuck that. That's bullshit. But the idea that a controlled system of understanding that civilization is a system, that canals have to be built and roads have to be built and infrastructure has to be built, and all of that has to be centrally planned. It'd be idiotic not to centrally plan it. it's illogical not to apply central planning to a civilization. It's just stupid. But I'm not going to defend what you propagandize to be centrally planned, which is Stalin or Lenin. I mean, fuck you. I mean, fuck you. What Gary is not okay, centrally planned model that he praises. So again, where did I praise it? What centrally planned model did I praise? What I said was it's ludicrous to compare the racism of Adolf Hitler against the idealism of communism as motives. Now, I didn't say communism was a huge success. I didn't say they implemented it correctly. I said exactly the opposite, didn't I? I said they created a party of privilege, and they didn't create any accountability to take it out of power when it became corrupt. I said those almost, that's a paraphrase of exactly what I said in the video. Shithead. Is that praising something? Calling the party corrupt and having no way to take it out of power, is that called praise now? Fuck you. So much does exactly the same, but even worse. So again, your argument. Now, I think it's an idiotic argument, but anyway, you know, nothing's worse than having 1% of the people own 70% of the resources. Nothing's worse than that. Since the planning is an essential part of every socialistic communist model, again, it's planning is rational. Engineering is rational. You don't uncentrally plan to build a building. You don't uncentrally plan to have Major League Baseball. Yeah, I mean, I can give you analogy after analogy. There's nothing that can be done without central planning that can be done rationally. So, you know, you want to pretend the physical universe works your idiotic way, where a bunch of chaos creates organization and efficiency? Well, it doesn't. Idiot. The need of those who determine those plans arises. Yeah, well, again, I pointed out the very point that's why you have to have accountability. I only advocate for these things very strongly. I say there should be a death penalty for government employees. Okay, and I've said this about cops and all the rest. They should pay 3 times the penalty for any rules infraction. So whatever the penalty is for a common citizen for breaking that law, somebody in government should go to jail 3 times as long. I would just shoot them. but I'm just saying, I'm just being generous to say, okay, well, let's have some lower penalty for this crime, because it's a fundamental violation. It's unacceptable for you to be a public servant, okay, and be stealing from the public. That's unacceptable. Zero tolerance. You don't like zero tolerance? Then don't be a government employee. Since the planning arises. And quickly those partisans become the new aristocracy. Yes, well, I pointed this out in the video. So again, you're not instructing me of something, jackass. I pointed out in the video. Who control all the means of production in the country. And again, you're saying it can't be easily fixed. The point is that capitalism can be made hugely more productive by getting rid of the dead weight. Too much welfare for either the poor or the rich. And the rich are the huge welfare whores. Huge, zillions of dollars compared to the poor. So fuck you. Pay attention to the video, asshole, you arrogant fuck. Anyway. In practice, it produces entire bureaucrat dynasties who are very keen on utilizing their power and influence to make things happen. And again, not all of that is gone if you have public scrutiny. If you have an open government that's required to be accountable to the people, where's the problem, jackass? Oh, that's right, there isn't one. So all you need to do is have more scrutiny. God. If you can't afford them, that is. That's what's worse is the least capitalist dynasties and monopolies. I don't even know what that means. And what's worse is that's the least capitalist dynasties and monopolies can fall and shudder. I don't even know what that means. What the fuck is this, poetry or something? If the new prince is stupid enough to blow the money on failed ventures. I don't even know what that means. And we have seen plenty of such cases in history. No, we've seen plenty of cases of fortunes getting bigger and bigger and bigger. The 1% have never been richer, you idiot. They're not getting poorer. So these stupid anecdotal stories about how, well, they all piss the money away. No, they don't. They make huge fortunes on it. Compound interest, retard. Donald Trump, if he had not done a damn thing with his inheritance, not one fucking thing, but left it alone, collected his rents, not even collected rent, just collected the increase in the property values, he would have been a billionaire. So fuck you and this crap. Ugh. Pathetic shit. Alright. Bureaucratic power class is to the contrary. And again, I'm not defending the bureaucratic power class. I'm saying there should be no such thing as the government union that exists now. If I was a Democrat and I won the presidency, the first thing I'd do is abolish the government union. I'd abolish the teachers union. That's right, fuck you people. Fuck you people and your bullshit that I get a salary increase for showing up for work and you have to pay me $250,000 when I'm 90 years old to teach 6 grades. I mean, it's just idiotic. Fuck you and that nonsense. Get a real job, asshole. Yeah, so fuck the bullshit of the these preposterous salaries for shit worth of accomplishment and shit worth of credentials. Anyway, bureaucratic power class in the country, since they also have full control of the state's means of violence, police, which means there is no real chance for any change whatsoever. The police aren't stopping us from having a third party. The police aren't stopping us from voting for better politics, for fixing this democracy and all that shit. So that's another, just a pile of crap. Okay, what's stopping us from making changes that are necessary is all you assholes have some sort of fucking perk you're getting, some special interest you're protecting. Whether it's your mortgage deduction or the fact that you have 10 kids and want the government to pay to educate them, or some other bullshit, and you're riding the system. And that's why you're defending the system. So, so that was Nevo UF. Yeah, well, I didn't appreciate it. Talking of inherent, so this is a racer. I mean, they have idiotic icons. There's some, like, I don't know, Muslim with a baseball bat. I don't know what the fuck it is. Talking of inheritance, why don't you tell it to the Jew Rothschilds? I brought up the Rothschilds in the video. I said the word Rothschild money. I said it, you fucking idiot. Who are the multi-trillionaires and are more wealthy than all the world's richest billionaires combined. Are you sure Hitler was wrong? I mean, it's just so amazing. Oh, so kill all the Jews because some Jews are rich. Well, let's kill all the white Americans because Bill Gates is rich. The stupid idiot who fucking basically rented America an operating system. The disgusting scumbag bought it from somebody else cheap, and then snookered IBM. And now for the rest of time, we're gonna have to pay that cunt some sort of copyright on a fucking operating system. Infrastructure, again. Fuck him. Fuck that bullshit. So yeah, kill all the white people because Bill Gates is white. And then he says, annihilate the inferiors. That sounds right up your alley, Gary. No, it doesn't sound anything like me. Where did I make that video? Where did I make that suggestion, asshole? Oh, that's right, I didn't. Alright, so another asshole. Jesse, I don't know, Pincuman has got some icon of an elephant on stilts, I guess. I don't know. Some absolute bullshit. So anyway, this is a common theme, I think, if I remember correctly. Okay, let me make sure I understand your argument fully. And we're coming to sarcasm. Yeah, it's fun. Feel free to correct me if I'm misunderstanding anything at all. Oh yeah, you're really going to get me with this bullshit. Inheritance, is bad because it's unfair that people who cannot choose the parents they were born to should be rewarded or punished based on who their parents are. and their economic position in the world. Yes, that's right. That's in the bad category. That's right. It would, if I was making the world, that's not the world I would make. That's right. There's that movie Ants, a little cartoon with Woody Allen thing, and there's a scene towards the beginning there where, they're showing the little ants being born, and they're given a pickaxe or a gun, whatever I don't remember the representation. I don't know if it was an actual gun, but it might have been. But anyway, so they're either a worker or a soldier, it just seems kind of arbitrary what you get stuck with, and that's your destiny. And yeah, who would do that? If you were God, that's the world you would make? It's pretty stupid. All right, now he gets to the big part. All right, so anti-immigration laws are bad because it's unfair that people who cannot choose the country they were born in should be rewarded or punished based on who their parents are and their geographic position in the world. Yes, it is bad. Yeah. So they want to mix these apples and oranges. So somebody else brought this up, like where you inherited the country we were born to, and therefore we should do something about it, the advantages. And I would argue that, yeah, we probably should. The problem is it's a lot harder to fix because civilizations are built over hundreds of years. So there's hundreds of years and zillions of dollars and zillions of lives and, well, billions, invested in the civilization. So you can't just snap your fingers and say in one generation, well, we're going to make civilization over there. And, we did try little bits. So you could say the Peace Corps was nice effort, maybe. Kind of shallow. Obviously, the religious missionaries is a failure because, the strings tied to that money is disgusting. But the real problem is a political one. They don't have the benefit of the colonization that needs to take place, right? I mean, we had the benefit of having England give us, at minimum, a bunch of good working law and order. And we mimicked that in the creation of the new nation and all that kind of stuff. And you sort of need that to have civilization. So we know that the real problems in Africa or these other countries is they don't have any infrastructure. And you can't sort of impose the infrastructure without doing the colonization thing. And everybody finds that too ugly now. So nation building is more difficult than it's ever been because you can't just walk in and run the show and show them how to be civilized. So it's not easy. And it's certainly not easy. See, in America they made it easy because they just killed all the natives, right? So the natives had a problem because they inevitably had a problem that was going to roost, where all the Indian tribes didn't like each other. Okay, and that problem was going to be a problem. There were, as they gained more and more technology, you could envision that there'd be real problems between the Mohicans and the Apaches and the Comanches, and it wasn't going to be pretty. And especially when the South American Indians were becoming hugely industrialized in a sense. Okay, I mean, their societies were becoming massive, and it seemed pretty clear the South American Indians were going to consume North America. It was inevitable. So you can blueprint all of that. But what does that have to do with the simple subject of 1% of the people in America owning 70% of the resources when we can fix that simple? That's easy to fix, and only 1% of the people are impacted. A tiny, tiny number of people are impacted in a negative way, and everybody else is impacted in a positive way. Where trying to civilize the world, that's really difficult. And you have no guarantee of success. Where stopping the rich is really easy, and the success is pretty much you can't fail. Even if as draconian as it is, even if we went out and just shot the rich, okay, yes, that's a terrible, horrible thing, but it's still 1%. We're still way below the commie record of 300 million. So what do we got to worry about? It says, uh, you know, 30 million? Yeah, that doesn't sound so bad. And look at the huge benefit. So, but this is apples and oranges, or it's apples and kumquats. I don't know. It's pretty far removed from the subject. You have something easy to fix, and you have something incredibly hard to fix, and you want to sit there and say, because the hard thing is hard to fix, now we don't bother with this easy thing to fix, because you're going to say they're the same thing, and they're not. They're not the same problem. But again, if you were a god, you would feel okay about saying to babies, like the babies had to come across your thing, and you had to sit there and say, no, you get born in America, and then you say, no, you get born in Africa, and you'd feel okay about that. I wouldn't. You wouldn't have a problem with that? Well, I would. So yeah, fuck that. I'm not for either. And my opposition to immigration is based on a practical argument. Because, if people immigrated and they didn't reproduce, immigration wouldn't be a threat, right? I mean, it wouldn't be a financial cost. So we know that having kids is really expensive in our society because we don't allow them to die on the street, and we take care of them when they're disabled, and spend huge amounts of money when they're a little bit learning disabled. Oh, yeah, gigantic amounts of money. And that infrastructure is very expensive, and you can't just give it to everybody in the world. It's a fact. And so you won't have it if you give it. So if you open the borders, then you won't have any other civilization. So you have to preserve the one you have before you can have it spread somewhere else. Maybe that was Rome's biggest failure, was that it thought it could take what was happening it allowed the places it was civilizing to pollute itself, and that was its destruction. It didn't keep the kernel strong. But again, they're two separate subjects. You can't recognize that. You can't understand that you're just changing the subject. Because what, you don't like the idea of talking about how blatantly unfair it is. So another part that comes up here is that people talk about, well, maybe I can find a comment on that. Just that somehow there's the difficulty of doing this. Like, oh, well, how are you going to do this, and how are you going to do that, and it's not that. Like I said, we know we can do it because we do it with sports. We do it with the Olympics. We do it with all kinds of things. We can see how, yes, we make the rules work. Yes, we enforce the rules. It's not that difficult. And so this evasion of keep running from the subject with these false arguments that you can't create a rule-based game. I guess if someone was to propose baseball, Major League Baseball tomorrow, or even auto racing or something, and say it didn't exist, and they were proposing it, a bunch of these naysayers would come out and say, you can't make rules, you can't have that game because people are going to cheat, and people are going to do this, and people are going to do that. You can't regulate this game. You can't make it fair. Yeah, you can. Substantially. I mean, you can't help where it evolves. You can sort of see that, and a lot of sports are sort of getting ruined by the fact that people are being almost genetically molded to the game, and the physical profile of possible candidates for the sport is getting narrower and narrower and narrower. So, in some sports, if your arms aren't long enough, you're out. All kinds of, it's just, silly things that are deciding whether or not you have some chance to compete. But that's a whole different problem than creating rules and fairness in the sense of once the players are on the field. Alright, anyway. So the Gavolt guy is always making some kind of stupid joke, I guess. I mean, I guess this is satire, but he says, I'm from Britain and I will die for the Queen. So I think he's joking. Your comment made me throw a bottle of beer at the screen, and now I'll need a new computer, dumbass. And I've always said this before, but Frankly, I don't like people doing satire or sarcasm or whatever it is. Because frankly, I can't tell sometimes whether people are joking. That's how bad people's jokes are now. And so I just stay away from that being humorous thing. I would anyway. Let's see. I'd love to see a debate between you now. Collectivism from nationalism. Yeah, blah, blah, blah. Thank you. Blah, blah, blah. More comments, please. Alright. Let's see. Also, Montague's statism death toll argument is such misconstrued bull. He didn't tell you that of the 250 million killed. Well, yeah, again, it doesn't really matter. People can say 100 million, 100. We know that, they haven't even made movies about this kind of stuff, right? So we know that these stories are a lot more complicated than what they want to portray them as. And so they're counting deaths by all kinds of attrition. So if people were potato famine or something, and they're blaming it on the government, that kind of thing. So there's a ton of this that has nothing to do with really killing a political enemy. And I think realistically, that the people, that there were plenty of people probably killed because they were political enemies, don't get me wrong. But we know that most of these people who were killed weren't, it just isn't the story they're telling. It was more like Iraq and the Kurds. The Kurds weren't Iraqis. They didn't really want to be Iraqis. What they wanted to do was make a new nation out of northern Iraq. That's not how you define your own people. During the Civil War, I think it was legitimate for somebody in the north to not think of the people in the south as our own people. They seemed hostile to your nation. That's not your own people. They're trying not to be your own people. They're desperately trying to dissolve the ownness. They're trying to burn the house down. How can you say they live in the house? Doesn't make any sense. Okay. I won't bother with that. 9,000-year-old mass found in... Oh, I hate this Avalanche guy. He's always off the subject. And I don't understand. Well, I'll read some of this piece. I made comments on the message board. I don't like his... I don't like this guy, I don't think. Found in Judean desert. 9,000-year-old masks. Take a look at those fucking masks. No. Any thoughts? You tell me what they were used for. Well, I imagine if they're still preserved, they were some sort of sacred thing. But who the hell knows? Mask wearing is kind of silly. This more like picking the best of a bad bunch of all rotten apples, whatever that means. Government depends on the values of individuals. What the hell does that even mean? Humans only live 80 years. Well, women live longer. Could make a perfect world. I don't know what that means. Then your predecessor would fuck it up. Rome survived for hundreds of years. Several fuck-ups later, your perfect world is lost. Whatever. Federal Reserve Bank, haha, welcome to the real world, USA. The Federal Reserve is irrelevant. It does what the government tells it to do. So, dream on, idiot. Let's see. Well, I don't know if there's something racist. Let's see. Federal Reserve Bank, you become nothing more than the grunts and others at least save you a few tummies. I don't know what that means. America's not the land of the brave and the free. For the little while you might have been, for a couple of weeks maybe, back in the day, whatever that bullshit means. Compared to who? Where's the land of the good now? There's no land of good people. Modern Nazi is race-driven, however, didn't start off that way. Oh, please. Let's not forget these guys lost the war, so one side of the record is incomplete, as Hitler not here to tell us. He wrote a book, idiot. A book full of racial crap. Israel is a racist apartheid regime, is she not today? Well, it's a religious state, and that's my reason for saying fuck you. And it sort of is racist, yes. So yes, fuck reverse racism. Sacrificing still, question mark. So yeah, there's just so many Jew haters around. How can you claim Hitler took the stance of race as motivation to commit war crimes? Because it's obvious. Americans did something far worse to the natives. Well, again, I'm do the apple and orange, change the subject thing, right? Who the fuck's defending the Americans' slaughter of the North American Indians? The genocide, the harsh, brutal genocide. I'm defending that? No, I'm not. Oh, God, you're just such a piece of shit. You all suck. Well, so do you suck. All nations are retarded. Well, that's just whatever. There's no other choice, jackass. And that's why the game must continue. I don't even know what that means. It must continue. Why? Because it sucks. Okay, fuck you. Retard. Alright. How will you stop parents signing over assets to their children prior to death? Well, the tax code's the tax code, right? And for hundreds of years, it's worked in the sense that when they had a higher tax bracket, they could only cheat so much, right? And you go to prison if you cheat. So I don't understand what the problem. If right now, if they want to evade, if they could evade all their taxes just by signing this and signing that, now they can do some of that. But we know they can't do it for the bulk of their estates. So what's the problem? You have a law against it. You put people in prison who violate the law. Gee, is that complicated? It's never been easier than it is right now to track money. So what's the problem? I mean, I think right now all the money ought to be electronic, but all the money should be, the serial numbers of the bills in circulation should be indexed right now. Every time the money goes into the bank, the serial number should be read, and they should all be indexed with a location. So we should be tracing the assets of America. So this isn't hard to do. So again, just keep pretending, oh, you can't do it, you can't, yes, you can do it. They did things, they had an 80% tax bracket in America, and people like Getty, had to create things like public libraries, right? Carnegie Hall. These things were created by rich people who had to get rid of their assets. So you allow them to dump them into charities, good charities though. I wouldn't let them dump them into foundations. This whole foundation thing is obviously a fraud, because they allow the runners of the foundation to take $2 million salaries, like Chelsea Clinton. So right there, that should be an unapproved foundation. You shouldn't be able to establish a foundation run by somebody who gets $2 million a year. That's just nonsense. Obviously, it's just a tax dodge. It's just an income dodge. It's a moving income dodge. Alright, so Avalanche Guy responds to him, which is irritating because it's going to be stupid in the back. By taxing 100% of everything over 10 million, obviously a something that would have to happen previous would be a single world government ruled by inmendham. So you're just an idiot. Obviously that doesn't have to exist. As a benevolent despot. No, you just have laws and accountability. It really isn't that hard. And you naysayers are the ones that are stopping civilization from going anywhere, because you're just nitpickers and naysayers. You're useless fucking talking trash. You don't have anything valuable or useful to contribute. You're just sit there and go, oh no, you can't do it, and change can't happen. No. Fuck you. Until dead and everything. Monarchy is not the problem. Shit. History suggests some of the problem may have been the monarchs themselves. I mean, it's just so stupid. I don't agree with him, and I'm totally on monarchy. Well, I don't agree with you on. I don't like you. You're stupid. Yeah, that's my opinion. He's really stupid. All right, let's see. I think from a theoretical viewpoint, this is common sense, probably won't be too common sensey. It is understandable that communism is not viewed as bad as Nazism. Well, of course, communism, at least theoretically, is about establishing an equal. Yes, all this is all stuff I said in my video. You repeating it is nice, but probably not useful. Oh, yeah, Wise Madness is a guy who's kind of, he's on instant delete now for a while. He's got to learn to be a little more polite. So this is Spartacus Liberator. Where do people come up with these names? You need to study a little bit more what exactly was the communist system of the Soviet Union. Well, I know what it wasn't. It wasn't some racist loony bin. For some crazy reason, you seem to believe that the aristocrats made by the state, the atrocities made by the state against their own citizens. So again, this definition of own citizen. So people are hostile to the new system. They want to tear down your government. They want to say, I don't want to be American anymore. I want to be Confederate. They're going to be called your own people, your own citizens. No, they're not. We're just an unfortunate cause of self-defense policies. Do you even understand the gravity of such a statement? And the gravity is what? Yeah, I don't even like you. I mean, there's a certain point where, what I'm going to say is, there's a certain point where compromise is unacceptable. So, yeah, it's winner take all. It's, there's no negotiating with terrorists, so to speak. There's a point where you have to defend, and if you don't, you'll lose it all, and neither side will win. Where we're stuck now. Do you even understand the gravity of the statement? Yeah, whatever. It's not much different from denying the Holocaust, says you. I think it's a huge insult to the Holocaust and the motives behind the Holocaust to sit there and play a game like the commies had a system intended to do this. And yes, there were ethnic genocides during Stalin's regime in the Soviet Union. Well, and the Soviet Union was a loose union. Can you concede that? Full of people of huge diversity. So again, I mean, if America had to face such things, which it never did, right? I mean, basically it was one kind of, like, once they kicked the French out of America, once the French sold Louisiana, right? The Louisiana Delta, whatever you want to, the Louisiana Purchase. So once the French were out of the game, America was just colonized by one kind of person, one kind of people. A common heritage, common language. So, what was negotiated in Russia was a much more complex system of hugely diverse people in the Soviet Union. A union made of something a lot more difficult to hold in place than what we faced. And look at the Civil War, one of the bloodiest wars in history. So we didn't even pull it off, even though these people were really almost genetically the same. We couldn't pull it off. So fuck you. And Wise Manna says, as someone from the Soviet Union, that seems funny. It's hard for me to believe somebody from the Soviet Union would have a green pixie as an icon. It just seems so fucking girly. Just doesn't seem like a drinking man's icon. I really wish Gary had to spend a few years living under socialism. Again, I'm a really good kind of commune kind of person. So, all you can trash talk at me all you want, but even getting ripped off, I still like to see a job well done, and I really don't give a fuck one way or the other. I worry about what I do. I don't worry about what other people do. And I don't see any value in being a shyster and a liar. So how do you make your living, shithead? What kind of reseller are you? Because that's probably what you are, some kind of shyster. You're running a little phone bank somewhere for a fake charity and taking a percentage. What's your racket, shithead? When he would realize he doesn't even have toilet paper to wipe his ass with. That would straighten up his scatterbrained real quick. Well, again, I'm not defending, again, living under socialism, he said. There are European states that are much more socialist than the United States of America, and the people aren't horrified. So, of course, just use the word as if the word means Stalin or Lenin, like you lived under any of those things anyway. So, you're an unaccountable troll, okay? You're going to claim you lived in the Soviet Union and you have some story about how brutal the socialism was for you. I'd like to hear the story. I'd like to hear about your free education that now you're exploiting, the one paid for by that socialism, no doubt. Let me hear your whole story, lying scumbag. Or fuck off. When he would realize he doesn't even have toilet paper wipes, straighten up his socialism apologies are downright disgusting. You're downright disgusting, turd. Western people have no clue how good they have it under evil capitalism. Again, most American children are born on food stamps, fuckhead. You know, and again, we're talking about the 1%, and you're defending that monarchy. You're such a fucking piece of shit. I just, you know, get what you deserve, as they say. Oh, as I say. Yeah, fuck you. Let's see. Don't care about Stefan. Don't think his issue between communism and capitalism. That's, it sort of is, you idiot, but whatever. Oh, and then some idiot has to sit there and... The solution is the Zeitgeist movement and the Venus Project. There's no solution in the Zeitgeist movement and the Venus Project. No solution whatsoever. It's completely just commune pie in the sky. This magical world where people will work when they don't have to. Yeah, that's their theory. People go to work when they don't have to. That's right, they don't, it won't do them any good. Going to work won't make their life better, but they'll still go and do it anyway. They already have a roof, they already have food, they already have a computer, video games. Why are they going to work? Oh, that's right. No reason whatsoever. Not going to happen. The Venus Project is nonsense. You have to create reward and punishment. It's the only way civilization can work. It has to have incentives. So the Venus Project is crap. It's not a solution. You have to have money. You have to have rewards. You're silly. The cool. Yeah, well, you're not that cool. Oh, Steve-O, what a fucking dumb cunt. Alright, Gary is such a hypocrite. Not really. He sits there making a video using inherited technology. Yeah. So? How's that hypocritical? Everybody can use inherited technology, such as electricity and computers. Yes, everybody can take advantage of electricity. And, you know, computers aren't really, you know, there's some copyright problems as pointed out by, you know, the crooks like Jobs and Bill Gates, none of which he has designed and produced himself. I'm not obligated to do any of that. You know, I don't think human beings should be obligated to pay the guy who, the grandchildren of the person, the great grandchildren of the person who invented the wheel. The guy who invented penicillin, his family doesn't get money for penicillin. I mean, you know, the Salk vaccine, his ancestors don't get, you know, checks in the mail. His logic is based on envy. No, it's based on absolute hate. I despise you, you fucking goddamn, you know, you're probably some kind of inheritance welfare. I mean, how could anybody defend this nonsense? except some asshole living it who has to defend it for that reason. It's just disgusting. Oof. Let's see. So Jesse again shows up here. Let's see. He's not against technology, just inequity of inheritance genius. Although he is a hypocrite because he is anti-immigration. So again, that's his perception of what the values here are. So he's opposed to that rationalization, but his rationalization is okay. So it's okay for, he doesn't like that guy comparing apples to bananas, but it's okay for him to do the apples and oranges thing. So stupid. Let's see, he says some more here. Okay, I never actually said I was in support of open borders, asshole. I happen to be pro-immigration. I don't know what that means. The difference being there's nothing about it I said that would indicate even this much. What I wrote is it's hypocritical to use one argument to oppose inheritance if the exact same argument, it's not the exact same argument, could be applied to something you're against. Well, like I said, if we could fix the immigration subject by inconveniencing 1% of the people and benefiting 99% of the people, I'd say okay. So do you have a scenario where that can happen, idiot? Do you have a way to nation build in, 10 years? I mean, the inheritance thing you can do in 10 years. You can winnow the human race off inheritance in 10 years. No problem. How are you going to build a civilization's infrastructure in 10 years? Can't do that. But whatever, asshole. Just strawman me. Oh, like you didn't strawman me, you fucker. Jeez, just amazing hypocrisy for pointing out your hypocrisy. No, you're the hypocrite. If you were born rich, you would probably be saying, Gary must be a special kind of retard to want to take my daddy's money and give it to some hobo. Well, again, I don't want to give it to a hobo. So again, lie some more. I want to give it to workers. That's right. I want to give the money to workers. I want workers to have all the power. People who are productive. You earn power by being productive. Not by owning, by producing. Fuck. Liar. I mean, just lie. I said overtly in my video how I wouldn't give the money. I didn't say the word hobo. So that's not, so I guess, if I don't list every kind of derogatory word for a poor person, that somehow you're going to say I didn't say poor people in the video, but I did. I did talk about the reckless poor and how they're a threat. The fact that you don't say this, but then the fact that you didn't say this, but then say the same to me in relation to immigration makes you a hypocrite. That's my point. Well, again, you're the hypocrite. You're the one producing the straw man arguments. You're not on the subject. You're evading the subject by changing the subject. What else is news? Oh, what this eraser asshole publishes a whole fucking book in here. In general, I don't support Gary's inheritance argument simply because most people, us working class plebes consider rich, are not the real problem. Well, yes, they are. The real wealth is concentrated at the very top. Well, I said 1%. Now, I mean, to sit there and say the 1% of the 1% doesn't matter. I mean, at 1% you've covered pretty much all the people who are making their money not by salary but by investment capital. He did mention the Rothschilds. Well, there you go in this video, and I give him credit for that. The problem is not inheritance. Well, again, you keep saying it's not inheritance. That's what the Rothschilds are, you idiot. Oh, it's not that we do not use government to break up outrageous private monopolies. Well, I don't understand what a private monopoly is besides rich people. How can it be a private monopoly if it isn't based on inheritance, idiot? If it dies with the owner, then there's no monopoly problem, is there? Oh, God, you're such a stupid fuck. We do not nationalize the banking system, although we should have a national bank. Why not? I mean, the government should be able to... Look, it's all actuarial tables. It's not that hard to do this loan thing. So you put loans in categories and you charge an interest rate based on the category and the performance of loans in that category. What's so complicated? Oh, that's right, nothing. Why do we have to have usury? Why do we have to have money lent for profit when we can have money lent at cost? No reason. The criminals own the banks. Well, whatever. Fuck you. I'm done with your book. Asshole. Let's see. How exactly are the banks the problem? I guess his comment was meant to be related to that other asshole. Well, there are two different models to consider. One system, which National Socialist Germany had to nationalize the banks, lend money interest-free based on what? Meritocracy, and to fund public works infrastructure projects that benefit the nation. The banks are not run for profit. Exactly. They are run for efficiency of the nation. Well, I don't even give a shit about that. I'm just saying they should be run at cost. The cost of doing business should be the only cost covered to create jobs and to benefit the people. Right. The other is the capitalist Jewish model. Oh, here we go with this Jewish shit. Fuck you, delete. Just grow up. Plenty of Catholics making money on usury. Yeah. You have no idea what you're saying. People have to pay to use the fruits of social and technological progress. And that's structural violence. Well, okay, that's a response to the original comment. So anyway, it's probably enough. But I guess, the more people say shitty, stupid things in the comments, then I guess the more videos I'll make on this subject. And I say they're going to lose in the end because their arguments suck. So go ahead and provoke me with more stupid arguments, more straw men, more apple and orange, change the subject bullshit. The simple truth is that people shouldn't inherit huge privilege. Huge, okay? Little privilege, not huge privilege. And it's just a fact. It's unfair, it's stupid, it's illogical, and it's demonstrated nowhere in our civilization that people wouldn't find that just revolting. No one's going to watch the Olympics if you give huge cheats to the sons and the daughters of previous winners. Everybody's going to be really disinterested in watching a cheat. And you know it. So quit lying and pretending that it makes any sense at all to have this huge cheat in the biggest game to be played. Yeah, just bullshit. Yeah, until next time.